kuhusiana na swala hili la kutolewa kwenye sajili moja kwa moja.
Because he's a member of the board of the Kenya Human Rights Commission, which is the organization under attack. So just to make the point that whatever we say here is also representative of the thinking of the board. I've got colleagues that head other human rights organizations that are flanking us. I will not specifically introduce them. I will only introduce Patricia Nyaundi and Commander Musheke. And the reason why I'm introducing them is they are, Patricia is the CEO of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. That's the constitutionally ordained government body that protects human rights. They've come here and Commander works in the same commission. They've come here in solidarity with ourselves as a result of what has happened. So that is why I was clear. I thought I should specifically introduce them because they represent an official view of what has happened to us and an official objection to the manner in which the NGO body is treating the Kenya Human Rights Commission. So there is a prepared statement that I will read. You will get copies and then you can also ask questions. The Kenya Human Rights Commission takes great exception to a document circulating amongst the local media and various social media platforms, supposedly from the Executive Director of the NGO Coordination Board, Mr. Fazul Mohammed, who purportedly proceeds to deregister the Kenya Human Rights Commission. This is sadly yet another chapter in attempts to harass and intimidate the KHRC at the hands of the NGO Coordination Board, and most specifically, Mr. Fazul Mohammed himself. The particulars cited in this letter are baseless allegations that have been directed at the KHRC since 2015, and we have consistently addressed and disposed of them each time. It was alleged then, as it is now, that the KHRC has operated illegal accounts, failed to abide by its statutory tax obligations, concealed transactions in relation to its board members, and made false declarations to the NGO Coordination Board. In what is a recurring trend, KHRC has been condemned and heard by the NGO Coordination Board in clear violation of the Constitution as well as statutory and procedural provisions on this matter. The KHRC, in fact, sought legal redress on these matters, specifically in 2015, and obtained a clear judgment of the High Court in Kenya Human Rights Commission versus the NGO Coordination Act. That is a suit that we filed in 2016. In the case, Justice Louis Onguto found that the failure of the NGO Coordination Board to either give notice or a hearing to the Kenya Human Rights Commission before arriving at a decision to cancel its registration was a violation of its constitutional right, and that this failure was compounded when the NGO board failed to furnish written reasons to the KHRC when the organization wrote asking for such reasons. It is therefore a travesty of justice that the NGO Coordination Board, and in particular Mr. Fazul Mohammed, would insist on flagrant abuse of office in total disregard of the KHRC's constitutional right and the authority of the courts. Let it be clear that the KHRC maintains the highest level of financial and operational integrity as demonstrated by our consistent and full compliance with statutory obligations. We are up to date in our filings with the NGO Coordination Board as well as other statutory bodies, and have received no queries or citations in respect of our filings. The logical conclusion, therefore, is that this is an act of intimidation and attempt to shrink civic space rather than enforcement of the law. The brazen nature of this attempt also calls to question whether this errant public officer enjoys political support to undertake such an abuse of office. Because of the substance of this latest attack, because the substance of this latest attack mirrors that which the KHRC experienced in January 2017 and before that in 2015, when we obtained the High Court judgment, the KHRC remains ready to yet again seek legal recourse to prohibit this unconstitutional action and also to seek redress for the defamatory nature of these baseless, false, and malicious accusations. Let us take a moment to reflect on our supposed accuser, Mr. Fazul Mohammed. He failed the integrity test and stands indicted by the Office of Ombudsman for lacking the requisite academic qualifications to hold his current position, found culpable of gross abuse of office, and recommended that he be surcharged for more than 8 million shillings he has earned since his appointment, not to mention being charged in a court of law for forgery. He has previously been dismissed from his position on account of his conduct by the Cabinet Secretary for Devolution and Planning, only to receive a reprieve when the docket was transferred to the Ministry of Interior. He continues to invoke powers his office has never possessed and purports to instruct other state agencies, such as the Kenya Revenue Authority and the Central Bank of Kenya, to execute his unconstitutional directives. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission did publish in a Gazette notice dated 31st March 2017 that corroborated the findings of the Ombudsman that Mr. Mohammed possesses fraudulent academic documents. We will confront this smear campaign and stand steadfast in defense of civic space and other constitutionally safeguarded liberties that will never be conceded on account of actions lacking in integrity and good faith. That is our statement, and together with colleagues, I would be happy to take any of your questions. Yes.
My first question is, I'm looking at your colleagues and I'm wondering, have the expatriates been deported? I'm not saying any. Have they left the country?
Okay, maybe we take a few. So you're going to the specific accusations against us. One of them is that we have expatriates. We have an answer.
Oliveros from Capital FM. Do you believe that the registration has anything to do with the petition you are to file today? And secondly, Mr. Kiai, are you afraid of getting arrested? I hear there's a letter Fazul wrote to the DCI calling for your arrest.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
First of all, you mentioned the presence of this letter on social media. Have you been able, to assess the veracity of this letter in any way? That's my first question. And second question, the timing is quite worrisome. Do you see there's any link with the elections? And if so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the figure of 1.2 billion, I hope that's correct. Have you received any amount? And from where?
And who are you?
Sorry, my name is Kenna. People Daily.
Of course. So speak.
Yes.
I think we can take those first.
All right. We are happy to take those ones first. Chief, would you like to go?
What should I answer?
Whether you are in imminent danger of arrest, and
the expatriates. The
expatriates I'm happy to deal with.
Yes.
The one who works here.
And the elections.
And the elections petition.
You know, there's something that's interesting. Let me start with the elections question, because I think that's an important question. There's been a lot of emphasis across the country urging people to go to court if they have any grievances around this election. Civil society, generally speaking, has been consistent, showing up a number of inconsistencies around the election. Now, we have been meeting here at Kenya Human Rights Commission. There's no secret about that. We've been gathering here. And there is thinking, looking at whether we should not, and that's a question that is going to be open because we have until Friday to make a decision on what to do. Now, here we are, being told to go to court, and then those people who may go to court are being deregistered. Are they serious about this or not? And the question should not be asked of us. I think you should ask the NGO board, you should go and ask Jubilee, you should go and ask the courts if they really want a petition or not. And if there's a petition, then they need to decide whether they want legal redress or they want extra legal redress of the situation in this country. Once you close off avenues for legal, non-violent, peaceful redress, you open up a can of worms. And the state needs to be very clear about what it wants to do. This is the state's decision. It's not ours. They need to decide what they want. As for me personally, I've been involved in this struggle for many, many years. And we do this work not because it has got any benefit to us, but because we believe. If they're going to arrest me, I'm here. I'm here. And those policemen here, please, in front of the cameras, please, please, I'm here.
Okay. Do we have expatriate workers? The answer is no. And have we had expatriate workers? Yes, we have had expatriate workers in the past. I think that was like 8 years ago. We had work permits for them. And since then, we've not had any expatriate workers. All our staff are 100% Kenyan. Every time in the past we've had expatriate workers, in accordance with the law, we have had work permits for them. We have those copies of those work permits on file. And if there is any, and in fact, when this issue is, as we've said here, this is the third time Fazul is attacking us. The first time it was in 2015. Each time the attack is a replica of the previous one. There's nothing new he has said that he hasn't said before. So he has raised issues to do with work permits. We've shown the people who used to work here were French nationals. They had long since left, and I wasn't even here myself. And so we had to go to get to extraordinary lengths to get copies of those work permits, which we showed to the NGO board. We said we had foreign nationals at a past time, and they've since left. We have we have only Kenya nationals, but they had work permits, and here are the copies of the work permits, and they were satisfied with that answer. Now, the second question is to do with the 1.2 billion shillings. We would be, if we had 1.2 billion shillings, we would be a very, very happy organization. But the point is, we don't have that level of income, unfortunately, and so we wonder where this figure is coming from. We have had a past engagement, and we were left wondering what the situation, where that figure was being plucked from. Now, the third issue is around the veracity of the letter. Muhammad Fazul only attacks us in the media. He never writes to us. He has never written to us a single letter. We see these documents flying in the media and never directed to us. This morning, I wrote to him a letter saying, we have seen in the media a document that refers to a deregistration of our cells. Because we have not received an official letter, first of all, can you confirm that that is your letter? And if you confirm that that is your letter, please give us a copy so that we can then take our actions. So Fazul Mohammed is the quintessential attention seeker. He can't do without attention for even 1 minute, and he creates ways of finding attention every time. When he is not finding attention or seeking attention by phony purported deregistrations, he seeks it by creating a category of awards for best performing NGOs, and he gives that to the Sonko Rescue Team. He gives the next one to the First Lady, that kind of. He can't do without attention. So everything must revolve around him, either lashing at supposed enemies of the establishment or upholding establishment-leaning organizations and telling them. So he has set up an award system, and he has awarded only 2 NGOs, and they are those 2. And then he has also been banning NGOs. And which ones has he banned? The Kalonzo Musyoka Foundation, the Evans Kidero Foundation, the Kenya Human Rights Commission, AFRICOG. Do we need to say more about that method of regulation? When we have sought to meet him, he has refused us meeting. So it forced us to go to the ombudsman to say, what kind of government is this? What kind of government agency is this that attacks us in the media and refuses to meet us? The ombudsman has engaged him in communication to the effect that if you have anything against the Kenya Human Rights Commission, you should meet them. So there's a quarrel between the Ombudsman's office and Fazul Mohammed's office because of the method he chooses to use to operate. This Fazul Mohammed he lacks legitimacy, but the way because he's vulnerable, because he's fake himself in every way, he needs to then find a use for himself within the government, and the way he finds use is by uplifting entities that are state-leaning and appearing to punish those entities that he imagines are enemies of the state. I think we've answered.
Yes.
Just a follow-up before Harun.
Na mtazamaji, ni moja kwa moja kutoka eneo la Lavington hapa jijini